Last winter, I had a bad cold. I was home alone, running a fever so high I could barely get out of bed. Water and medicine were on the nightstand, less than 2 feet away, but I lay there staring at the ceiling, spending 2 full hours mentally arguing with myself about why I shouldn't call a friend. That was the moment I realized my independence wasn't a skill, it was a prohibition.
Today, I want to talk about a brutal paradox. The qualities you're most praised for the things that make you seem mature, reliable, self-sufficient, may be quietly draining you in ways that are almost impossible to notice. It's not your flaws that are hurting you. It's your strengths. Today, we'll break down 3 specific habits. They all share the same structure. They start as self-protection and end as self-destruction. This isn't a video that gives you solutions. It's a video that helps you see what program you've been running. And this is the first paradox habit. You never ask for help, and you call it independence. There's a concept in psychology called learned helplessness, but I want to introduce its mirror image: learned self-sufficiency. Psychologist Jonas Webb, in her research on childhood emotional neglect, found that children whose needs go consistently unmet tend to develop a coping mechanism that disconnects them from their emotional needs, entirely showing up in adulthood as a systematic disregard for their own needs. When a child repeatedly experiences being ignored or rejected, the brain's ultimate solution isn't to keep trying. It's to shut down the module that recognizes need in the first place. You stop feeling like you need help because the feeling of needing something has become linked to the pain of being turned away. So as an adult, you're not choosing independence. You're obeying an ancient survival program, one that tells you every need is a system vulnerability, something to be patched or hidden immediately. The problem is, this program can't tell the difference between situations. It doesn't just shut down the impulse to ask others for help. It also shuts down your ability to recognize that you need to be taken care of at all. What you learned was to deny a need at the very moment it first appears, not just to keep it from showing. So the independence you take pride in is, at its core, a continuously running assembly line of self-neglect. It efficiently identifies, dismisses, and self-handles every need you have, making sure you never burden anyone, including yourself. It protects you so completely that you've lost all experience of being cared for. And it's precisely through being cared for that humans learn how to care for themselves. Your independence is systematically stripping away your ability to care for yourself. My friend Mark, he's the life of every party. One night he had too much to drink, and he told me he felt hollow inside. He said, "I don't know who I am when I'm alone. I'm just a collection of reactions other people need from me." This is the second paradox habit. You become everyone's emotional mirror, yet you can't find your own reflection. It's called the empathy trap. In an unpredictable childhood, reading your caregiver's emotions with precision was a survival skill. You became a living emotional radar. As an adult, that skill makes you effortlessly magnetic in social situations. But emotional processing bandwidth is finite. When someone habitually directs all their attention toward other people's emotional signals, the space left for processing their own emotions gets continuously occupied and systematically crowded out. Researchers tracking highly emotionally responsive individuals found that their reported sense of inner clarity when alone was significantly lower than when they were in social interactions. Without other people, they lose the screen that lets them see themselves. Your high emotional intelligence is, at its core, a continuous act of self-displacement. To make room for everyone else's emotions, you have to temporarily empty out your own. Every perfect act of empathy is a small act of self-exile. Over time, your inner world fills up with other people's landscapes, and there's no weather left that belongs to you. The last habit is the most hidden paradox. You're always the one who gives, yet when love comes your way, you feel a deep, creeping panic. My former colleague Lisa, when she went through her divorce, she disappeared for 3 months, telling everyone who cared about her that she just needed some space. She told me later that when people tried to comfort her, what she felt was a suffocating anxiety. She'd run through a mental checklist. How am I going to repay this person for their kindness? How much sadness is it appropriate for me to show right now? Is this too much negativity? Attachment researchers describe this pattern as compulsive caregiver attachment. Its defining feature is that giving care becomes the only known path to emotional connection, while receiving care triggers anxiety tied to the exposure of vulnerability. The logic behind this equation goes, warmth only appears when you're giving. The opposite of giving is taking. And taking means you owe something. Over time, every act of incoming kindness gets automatically converted into a debt waiting to be repaid. In childhood, you may have discovered that warmth was scarce, and the only way to get a little of it was to make yourself useful, manage other people's feelings, keep the household atmosphere stable. So love, in your internal system, got encoded as a debt relationship. Giving feels safe because you're in control. Receiving feels dangerous because it means exposing your needs and handing over to someone else the power to decide whether you are loved. So you've built a perfect closed loop. By constantly giving, you prove you're worthwhile, keeping yourself safely on the side that's owed. When genuine, unconditional care comes your way, your system flags it as an unpayable debt or a suspicious trap and triggers an alarm. Reject it, run from it, or find a way to settle the score immediately. This system once saved you. When it was built, it was your only option, but it never received an update. It doesn't know you've grown up. It doesn't know the people around you now are not the ones who couldn't show up for you back then. It just keeps running. Sometimes, simply recognizing this is already the beginning of something shifting, not because you had a sudden breakthrough, but because for the first time, you stopped and saw it for what it is. Tell me in the comments, which of the three cases did you recognize yourself in first? And what did that feel like?